5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start. In recent years, inflation has become a growing concern across the globe. Various factors, including supply chain disruptions, energy price hikes, and geopolitical tensions, have contributed to the rising cost of living in many countries. However, India has managed to experience a relatively lower rate of inflation in comparison to other major economies. Despite global trends, inflation in India has not surged to the same extent, a phenomenon that can be attributed to several unique factors influencing the Indian economy. Understanding the reasons behind this contrast involves looking at both global economic dynamics and India's domestic policy measures. Inflation, particularly in developed economies, has been fueled by a combination of monetary policies, rising commodity prices, and supply chain disruptions. Central banks in many parts of the world have kept interest rates low to stimulate economic recovery following the COVID-19 pandemic, which led to increased money supply. With more money circulating in the economy and demand rising faster than supply, prices for goods and services have climbed. The war in certain regions, supply chain bottlenecks, and higher energy costs, particularly in oil and gas, have exacerbated inflationary pressures in several countries. On the global front, the rising energy prices, particularly for oil, have had a direct impact on inflation. Oil prices are a key component of production costs, and higher energy prices increase the cost of transportation, which, in turn, leads to higher prices for consumer goods. In countries where energy consumption per capita is higher, the effect of rising oil prices has been more pronounced. Additionally, the crisis in the agricultural sector, caused by poor harvests, has resulted in a spike in food prices worldwide. These combined factors have led to inflation rates climbing to levels not seen in years in numerous countries, especially in Europe and North America. In contrast, India's inflationary scenario has remained relatively more stable. Several factors contribute to this difference. Firstly, India's central bank has adopted a cautious and balanced approach to monetary policy. While central banks in the West have kept interest rates low to boost economic growth, India's central bank has focused on keeping inflation under control through its monetary policy framework. The Reserve Bank of India has targeted inflation at around 4%, with a tolerance band of 2% on either side. This target has served as a guideline for the central bank's actions in adjusting interest rates and using other tools to control inflationary pressures. The RBI's proactive approach has helped keep inflation in check despite global price hikes. Additionally, India benefits from a relatively lower dependency on imported energy compared to many other countries. A significant portion of India's energy needs, particularly electricity, is sourced domestically from coal, and the country has managed to expand its renewable energy infrastructure over the years. Although the country does import crude oil, the share of energy costs in its overall consumption basket is lower compared to countries that are more reliant on imported energy. As a result, The inflationary impact of rising global oil prices has been relatively less severe in India. India's agriculture sector, which plays a significant role in the economy, also contributes to its lower inflation rates. The country is largely self-sufficient in many staple foods such as rice, wheat, and pulses. Although food prices do experience seasonal fluctuations due to monsoon variations, the government's strong focus on agricultural production and food security has prevented large-scale price volatility in essential food items. Additionally, India has robust buffer stocks of essential commodities, such as rice and wheat, which are used to stabilize prices during times of supply shortages. Another key factor in India's relatively stable inflation is the government's active role in regulating key industries. In times of price hikes in essential sectors like energy and food, the Indian government often intervenes through price controls and subsidies. For example, subsidies on fuel prices and food grains help keep inflation at bay, particularly in sectors that directly affect the masses. While such measures may have their own set of challenges, including fiscal burdens, they play a role in controlling price hikes in essential goods and services. In addition, India has a large domestic market and is less exposed to international trade disruptions than many other countries. While supply chain disruptions have been a significant driver of inflation globally, India's domestic production and consumption patterns have insulated the economy to some extent from the worst impacts. India's demographic profile also plays a role in shaping its inflation. The country's large and growing young population means that there is a significant base of workers entering the economy, which drives consumption but also keeps wages competitive. This demographic advantage has contributed to a relatively stable economic environment where inflationary pressures do not spiral out of control. The increase in income levels, while supporting growth, has been more controlled due to the steady pace of industrial development and job creation. Moreover, the Indian government's fiscal policies, including the implementation of goods and services tax, have helped streamline the taxation system and reduce the cascading effect of taxes on goods and services. GST has allowed for a more efficient flow of goods within the country and has reduced barriers to trade across states, promoting competition and keeping prices in check. Additionally, India's focus on improving infrastructure, such as roads, ports, and digital connectivity, has improved efficiency in the movement of goods, reducing logistical costs and contributing to price stability. In conclusion, the global rise in inflation, driven by factors such as energy price increases, supply chain disruptions, and geopolitical conflicts, has not had the same severe impact on India. The Indian economy has benefited from a combination of sound monetary policy, domestic production capabilities, government interventions, and a favorable demographic profile. While challenges remain, India's ability to control inflation through a mix of fiscal and monetary measures has allowed it to navigate global inflationary pressures relatively smoothly. This stability has positioned India as one of the more resilient economies